Good morning. Welcome to Who Am I? Whatever that is. I appreciate you being here. I know that there's not many people allowed in the building yet. I was getting a little pensive about that this morning, feeling a little bit sad. Nobody's watching. But then I realized I've only given out my my information to the very tiniest group of people. I advertise nothing. I've done nothing whatsoever to work on the visibility or the connectability of my website. It's not a website, of my YouTube channel. And so if nobody's watching, I have nobody to blame but myself. And I might be using it as an excuse to flog myself a little bit, as opposed to anything real. So, anyway, the show is Who Am I? I've been feeling a little pensive this morning, wondering whether I could find my way to my space where all of the interesting stuff is. It's like this room that is me. And I got to find my way to this room where all the interesting information is, all of the non-resistant thought, all of the imaginative connection to my broader perspective, where that really is. Who am I? I don't know whether I'm going to be able to make it. Like I said, I was a little pensive this morning. Pensiveness kind of puts you in a different space. It kind of keeps you connected to your micro self a little more. And if we really want to get flying this morning, I've got to let go and tune into my macro self. The question is, who am I? The reference is source energy. Why do I do this? Because it is my prayer. It is my hope. It is my belief. It is my heart's desire that we make it as a species. And not in all of the places where we don't deserve to make it. I just mean human beings are being very destructive to planet Earth. And when I say I want us to make it, it's not me saying that I want us to keep doing that. I'm saying I want us to stop doing that so that we don't extinct ourselves and destroy the planet. And at the same time, I want us to stop all of the things that we do that create so much suffering. That, to me, is us making it. Us finding our way to our true positive nature, our recognizing our oneness with the field around us. And I would like to see us get away from our persistence in hammering away at the way we do things, even if it's completely out of alignment with the rest of the field around us. I want to stop doing that. I want to see us stop doing that. I want to see an end to war. I want us to stop killing the planet. I just... When I try to walk away from this work, when I try to dismiss it and say to myself, oh, nobody's listening, what does it matter? I'm just going to go back and be ordinary. When I try to do that, then I turn and look at the world and we're still doing it. And it makes my heart sink, and it makes my... I can't. I'll start watching a show, and the next thing you know, they're telling me about orphan elephants, and what are the things that get me? the thoughtless destruction of animal lives and ecosystem habitats. That's a big one. All of that gets me. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Did 2 sneezes, now I'm back. So, who am I? That is the show. That's the setup. That's the room. That's the question. How are we looking at this? How are we going to discuss this question? Who am I? Well, we're coming at it from a number of directions. Who am I as an individual consciousness? Who am I as an individual being, a divine individuation of the wholeness? Who am I as a species? Who am I as a human being? Where did we come from? Where are we going? Where have we been? What does our history look like? What is that unfolding? What is the evolution of our species? What does that look like? Who are we as powerful creators, as vibrational beings in a vibrational universe? Who are we as all of that? That's part of the question. And as we discuss the answer, we're talking about this in reference to source energy, and the reason that we do that is twofold. One is when you start talking about us as source, then it opens up some really big layers of discussion. We get to start talking about mythological things and religious concepts, even, the notion of demons and powers and energies and salvation level concepts of energies. Like I said, there's 2 main reasons I do this. One is for a clearer psychological and energetic understanding, a practical understanding of who we are. From the individual's perspective as they work their own individual equipment. That's one of the reasons. But the second reason is that collectively, as human beings, we are destroying the planet. We are destroying the ecosystems. And there's a couple of reasons, practical reasons, why I believe we're doing this. And I think that there are obfuscations involved. I think that there are agendas involved and sleights of hand and conspiracy theories and all kinds of things involved. Everything from extraterrestrials to... the story gets really exciting about who we are and what's going on and what we need to do to make it to the 22nd century and still call ourselves mankind on planet Earth. There's a couple of things we need to do. The first one is, well, I don't know. I don't know if these are in the right order or not. But one of them is we have to get off fossil fuels. And the good news is that we can. I'm getting so passionate within myself as I recognize the absolute truth of this position. We can get off fossil fuels, and we have always been able to get off fossil fuels. We could have done it incrementally. What I mean by that is a little bit at a time. A device here, a device there, a good idea here, a great idea over there, an energy-saving idea over here, and an energy creation use over here, a little bit of understanding of source energy, a few over Unity devices, which brings me to I always have to say this because I put it in the description, and since I do that, I have to do it. I have to explain it every time what it is. Here's my links list. Go look at this in the description of this video. All these links are here. Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. That's the documentary that talks about the suppression, the brutal suppression of over-unity devices over the last, say, 125 years. Actually, a little longer than that. Because I'm going to say that the first blatant suppression came when J.P. Morgan cut off Tesla, when he realized that Tesla was trying to develop this energy system that would give us all free, clean energy. Just radiating from a tower that we could all plug into. We could plug our devices into, tune them into the frequency of this tower and run our devices. And J.P. Morgan said, ooh, he's a robber baron. After all, there's a reason why we called them robber barons. And he didn't want to give away anything to all people that, a robber baron could sell them and make a fortune. And so it began. So that's the first one, Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. Then we got the paper, Origin of Mass and the Nature of Gravity. Actually, that's not the paper, that's the video that explains the paper. The link to the paper is further down. Then we got the first episode of Quantum Revolution, Nassim Haramein's 12-episode series. It's over on Gaia, but I found this first episode on YouTube. You might be able to find all 12 episodes. But I didn't want to put all 12 links on my description. That kind of gets a little clunky, don't you think? Then we have the link to The Connected Universe, the movie that came out in 2016. It's a documentary. It's narrated by Patrick Stewart, and it's talking about Nassim Haramein's the way he unified quantum and cosmological physics. It seems counterintuitive, not counterproductive. It's very productive. Counterintuitive the way he did it. And I will probably go in and explain a little bit of that later in the show. I'm always talking about the same thing. The show is the same thing every day. But I try to come at it backwards and forwards and sideways. And then, if I get an inspiration to tell a story or drag in a bit, because I can't actually say every single thing every day because it's too much. I could show you the notes that I have. And it all talks about the same thing, the binary system of the human being, the binary referring to the two parts of the binary system, referring to the physical conventional you and the vibrational aspect of you that is informing you. Because you are a vibrational being in a vibrational universe, and even your physical body is vibrational, but you have an aspect of yourself that is completely free of your physical self. It's reading the information of your physical self, but it is not bound by your physical self whatsoever, and it is vibrating, it is reverberating with the rest of the universe, and is knowing all the things that are going on in the universe because of this divine reverberation. You'll realize once you listen to me that I use the word divine a lot. And when I use the word divine, what it is referring to, it is tagging you back to the allness perspective, to the allness that we are. We are two perspectives. We are our allness and our smallness. Those are your two perspectives. And you, in your physical body, that's you taking care of your responsibility, which is boots on the ground, eyes on the grid, light shining in the world. That's your responsibility. And as you bang around out here in this physicality, your job is to declare every step of the way, every instant of your life, the way you are casting your vote, you are saying to the universe, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. I prefer peace rather than war. I prefer love rather than hate. I prefer coherence rather than chaos. I am alignment, not discord. Who am I? Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? And that's why I call the show, Who Am I? Who am I? Oh, did I finish the links list? No, I don't think I did. No, I actually added this one, Living in the Future's Past. I found that one on YouTube. That one's interesting too. I mean, it's not whole to me, but it adds an important piece of it. And it shows us we really are a super organism. Deny it all you want. We are a super organism. But as a super organism, you don't sacrifice yourself for the whole. You don't do that. You have to live your life for the whole. You don't sacrifice yourself for the whole. You find yourself for the whole. You find your alignment. You live as an example of what each of us as cells in the great being can be. And as we find our individual way to our highest selves, we lead the superorganism to its best self, to the place where it clicks into the rest of the world in a harmonious and coherent way. Let me finish this so I can get off of this slide. Then I put in a link to an article that I find interesting. At some point, I might find a different article of Paul Levy's. He's over in awakeninthedream.com. That's his website where he's developing all of his stuff. And then the last couple of things, we have The Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity paper, the paper that was published. And then the last one is just a little bit of fluff, The Whirling Dervishes. When you realize that everything is spin, literally, there is nothing more than this superfluid of divine plasma being thrown into spin. And that is what is causing every single effect that you think as all kinds of effects. But it's just one thing. It's the whole thing spinning. And it spins together at the same time that it spins separately. And they are both divine aspects of this magnificent equation that we are a part of. And understanding this whole thing and how the motion works and who you are and how we click into everything else and how you tag into your broader perspective and line up with it and then follow its guidance to your highest self, your best life, your both large and small. There's the two perspectives. One, me and my smallness, and then how am I evaluating the whole thing? How is the whole thing moving? Because it's both, and you need to understand it from both perspectives. Especially as a human being on planet Earth, we have to understand this from both perspectives. If we were just an animal, we could just understand it, just tag it from our smaller perspective, and would be accurate. It's how come out in the field, in a natural, non-human touched ecosystem, all the elements within the ecosystem are all balanced and cooperatively co-creating in a harmonious fashion. Why do they do that? Well, it's because they're all tagged into source directly. And they're taking their impulses off of source and they're not overthinking it. They're not they don't have the same ability to focus in on their negative mind and identify with that and run impulses from that, which actually turns you 180 degrees backwards to impulses from your source. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? When you are operating from the impulses of your negative mind, then what you are doing is you are crossing your own energy stream. I want to get really precise about this, because there's a really specific and I believe material thing that happens, and it's an energetic kind of material thing that happens, but energetic material is kind of almost like spirit material. There's a spirit thing that happens when we cross our own energy stream. When we cross it, when we go into the lands of our negative minds. Now, this is the point where Paul Levy would tell you that Wetiko is born. This is Wetiko that I'm going to be talking about. Wetiko, this psychic mind virus, this thing that human beings do that causes a certain thing to happen within us that makes us, as soon as it happens, we become destructive. We start moving contrary to what we think we're doing. We now start moving, our vehicles start walking in 180 degrees the opposite direction of what we want. It's our system flips in a funny way. Now, what am I actually talking about? Who am I? So we're going to move to an old favorite slide of mine. By the end of this morning, the idea is I want to hit every one of my slides. And I don't have that many slides if you're a regular of the show, or if you're brand new. I want to make sure that every slide gets hit. And I don't have that many, and they all represent certain things to me, certain things in this explanation. They represent that to me. And this is the first one. This one represents to me a symbol. It's like a representation of your two minds, both of them spinning discs of attraction. They're pulling into their desires cooperative components from the quantum field around us, based on resonant frequencies, those lining up with their desires. What are you focusing on? It all has to do with your focus, because your focus is how you are bringing. Oh, I actually heard Abraham say it so succinctly the other day. Let me see if I can remember exactly what she said. So the answer is I cannot remember exactly what she said. I should have written it down because it was just a very few words. But what she's basically saying is that the mechanism by which you have control over how your life turns out and how you follow your dreams and how you get from wherever it is that you are to wherever it is that you, air quoting, want to be, is all determined by your focus, period, full stop. Your success in life is not coming from your actions, other than actions of focus, but your physical actions, how much material out there you're moving around, and how many interviews you go to, and how hard you try, and how many, your medals that you get from the wars that you fought and all that kind of stuff. That's not getting you that's not where your success, your actions are not what's bringing you your success. what's bringing you your success, such as it is, to whatever extent your success is coming from your focus. How you are focusing your equipment. And then, because how you focus your equipment determines how you get impulses from source. How you are reading, how you are interpreting the impulses that you get from source. And everyone and everything is getting impulses from source all the time. What is source? It's the source of all things, the source of all motion, the source of all action, the source of all evolution, the source of all of creation. What is it? It's this quantum field. It's these vacuum fluctuations that are bringing matter into being across the event horizon of the 0 point energy field, which I could go and we could jump over there and start talking about that. But let's stay here for a minute, because this is you. This is you. Who am I? I am two minds. I am my physical mind, the one that I am familiar with, the one that I think is manufacturing the thoughts and stuffing my personal memories into my own the pouch of my brain and my personal cells. That's not exactly that's not who you are, and that's not where your memories are being stored, by the way. Your memories are being stored on the very grid of space-time, forevermore. It's like beyond the Akashic records, which are something that are often referred to as far as human memory. It kind of has to do with humans. But there is a divine space memory network that is like where you were. So as things, say for instance, stuff happens to you. I had stuff for breakfast this morning, and then I have a memory of me having stuff for breakfast this morning. Well, the actual where space-time is keeping that memory, and it will be kept forevermore. It gets pretty obtuse, I'm sure, at some point, and tricky to tag into that specific memory. Unless I'm me, that memory still exists. It's there on the grid of space-time. What it is where I was when I did that. So I'm standing on a planet that's flying through space. And as we flew through space-time, as we flew through it, as I did what I did, as anybody and everybody does everything that they do, as we fly past, it's recorded. Think of the grid of space-time as being like the hard drive. It's being recorded as we fly past that place on the grid in space-time. Never mind. It seems so clear, and it is so clear, and it seemed for a minute like I would have these wonderful words that would so quickly and so easily describe that. I'm not the one who came up with this. This is an idea of Nassim Haramein. That's why he doesn't just call it space-time. He calls it the space memory network, because all memory of everything that has ever happened is recorded on the structure of space-time itself, where it happened when we flew by. Because everything is not happening in the same place. Because I'm not in the same place one moment to the next. Because we're moving. We're trucking it really fast. Everything's moving. Everything's changing. That's one of the things that you cannot change. Now, I've been actually, there was a couple of things I meant to get to yesterday, never did. Maybe I'll get to them today. We'll see. Let's see if I can focus. Because it's my ability to focus in and get clear about a subject and then add in another one and show you where they add together, and not just jump around in a way that makes you car sick, It's me learning how to do this is the meaning of this show to me. Me allowing you, if you have ears on this show right now, that means I know you and I love you and I care about your success because your life is somehow adjacent to mine. And your failure would make me sad, and I don't want to be sad. So the point is, you're privileged if you're listening to this, because this is not the public show, the public-facing show that someday this might be if I really get good at putting these ideas together, because I promise you, we can get off fossil fuels. We can understand who we are. We can understand how our psychological and sociological and individual systems work. We can understand coherence. We can understand the field. We can understand material reality. We can understand our spiritual selves. We can understand all of this. I know we can understand this. And we can, through our understanding, build a more coherent, more cohesive, more... We can build a better future. But I think it's going to come from us understanding true reality. Not this made-up nonsense that most of us just assume in our minds without even rethinking it once. Not even to the extent that we were taught to rethink it in my I had the best psych teacher in college. It was actually college the second time around. Jeff Salbato, what a great guy. And he teaches you to second think your own thoughts. You know, go into your own thought processes and examine your own belief systems and give yourself a chance to discard some of them that you didn't even realize that you had, but once they come up and you look at them, you go, oh, yeah, that doesn't make sense. I don't want to believe that anymore. You know? So who am I? Back to the picture. This slide symbolizes to me your two selves, your two minds. Let's call them two minds. They are both spinning discs of attraction. What are they attracting? They are attracting cooperative components to your desire. Now, your source mind over there, its desire is for everybody to make it, for everybody to have abundance, for everybody to have a good time, for all to be free, for everyone to, well, let's think about who you are in your source side, first of all. As your source mind, it is connected to all of true reality. I'm going to put a capital T on the beginning of that word true to indicate that I'm talking about whatever it is out there, with a capital W, even whatever it is out there. That's what your source mind is connected to. Who you are, who you really are, who you have always been through all of eternity. Who are you really? You are the quantum field. You are connected to all things. You are liquid love. But that's just the energy aspect, the connected aspect, the wholeness aspect of who you are. Who are you individually? Now that's a good question, because you actually have choices here. You can choose to be whatever you can choose to be the biggest jerk on the planet. You can be the biggest mob boss. You can be the biggest authoritarian dictator. You can be an axe murderer, a serial rapist, a serial murderer. You can be whatever you want to be on your small side. However, those who choose to take courses like that, I promise you, they're not all that happy. They may find along the way some sensual pleasure, and they may find along the way some aspects of themselves that are pleased by this. One of them is I believe that we are actually very, 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 very large beings. And when you become an authoritarian dictator, you feel some of that aspect of you is pleased, you feel the resonance there. You know, I really am somebody. You know, I believe that that's true. I think that that's actually part of where they are right, oddly. Even though I think that authoritarian dictators and such, I think they're incredibly wrong. They're way out of alignment is what they are. The things that they are wanting is not actually in alignment with who they truly are. The liquid love and the win-win-win-win position. They in their small minds have taken a win-lose position, perhaps. Maybe they think that the paradigm is win-lose and it's a zero-sum game and it's a finite pie. And so I got to battle with everybody in order to stay on top of the game and blah, 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 blah. That's where they're going wrong. That's where they're out of alignment. Because the fact of the matter is that the paradigm that we're in is a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win paradigm. And the ultimate expression of your abundance and the wholeness of who you really are puts you in an ecosystem where everything is thriving. Now, I think in the moment, we are expressing a different thing here. This thing that we are expressing right now sort of isolates us and puts us in a place where we are in stark relief against the backdrop. And we pop out, and it allows us as human beings to examine ourselves more clearly, more easily, more easily be able to ask this question, the one of the show, who am I? And get our answer. Oh, that's who we are. Oh, look at how it works. Oh, look at what we're capable of. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We can do this. We can fix this because of who we are, because of how this works, because of how this divine matrix that we are embedded in, that we are co-creating within, is so damn flexible, is so beautifully malleable. There is so much choice of how many places that you could go and still be connected to Source. And what does it mean to be connected to Source? It means to have all the threads in your hand. What are all the threads? It's the win-win-win-win position. It's the well-being of everyone around you at the same time. So the really good ideas come when you realize that you actually are co-creating with a larger field. Oh, the larger field is me. Oh, if it's all me, that means I have access to it. Well, how do I have access to it? Well, it's actually through your higher being. You do have access. You have influence. You don't have control over the rest of the field any more than they have control over you. And isn't that a good thing? That nobody else has control over you, even though you are part of a greater field phenomenon. Isn't it great that nobody has control over you? Well, it is great. And it works both ways. You don't have control over them either. Sorry about that. So what do I have control over? I have control over where I navigate my starship. What's my starship? Well, I have trouble with this analogy because, so let's go into this. What is my starship? My starship is my being of consciousness that I am flying through my life experience through all time. I am flying it through the multiverse that is all things around me, which turns out there is an enormous multiverse. And isn't it wonderful? I don't actually have to go anywhere to get everywhere because all of the information of everything is right here, right now, right where I am. So I can get anywhere where I want to be from where I am without going anywhere. How do you do that? Well, you do it through frequencies. How do I do that? Well, know first of all that you are a broadcaster and a transmitter of frequencies. You are that. You're broadcasting all kinds of frequencies of energy. You're a thermal engine, a carnal engine, burning at almost 100 degrees for your entire life, and you're broadcasting that. You could read that with a infrared scanner. You could see that information coming off of you in waves. You have more information coming off of you. Your heartbeat is producing an electromagnetic field so strong that there is equipment at Lowe's that you could buy that would detect it. Wouldn't necessarily give you a really fine scan reading on the electromagnetic, the heart rate variabilities that you got going on in there. You need more sophisticated equipment to read that stuff. But you could read the electromagnetic field in general that's coming off of you from the beat of your heart. You've got another one that's coming off of your brain is producing an electromagnetic field. It's actually a much smaller, it's a weaker one than the one your heart is producing, but the one from your brain can be read through a sophisticated device called a magnetoencephalogram. It's a device that sits outside of your head. You get under it like a hairdryer, and it reads your brain waves. Without electrodes touching your skull or anything like that. It's reading that electromagnetic field coming off of your brain. Now your emotions are producing a broadcast of, it's contributing. Let's say it's contributing to your vibrational offering. This vibrational offering that you are putting out to the universe. And by the way, this vibrational universe is reading you and is responding to you and is reflecting back to you all kinds of stuff. And your basic understanding of yourself as a transmitter and a receiver of information, and as a vibrational being, it's key to being able to understand who you really are and how you're placed in the field and how you're working in the grid. So let's go back to my analogy. You're a starship. So what is your starship? The problem I have with the analogy is that it turns out that you are the captain of your starship. Yes. And you are sitting right in the captain's chair. But the problem is that you are the ship, and you are the captain. And when you take it even farther than that, you realize that you are also the universe that you're flying around in. And so the analogy kind of has its weak points. But how you navigate this has to do only with, this is the only thing you need to worry about, and everything else will naturally flow from here. I'm not saying just do this and then do absolutely nothing else. I'm saying this is the only thing you have to try to do, and the rest of it just flow with the impulses you get from your clear position, because the impulses that you're getting are going to be coming then clearly from source, in a way that is in alignment with the rest of source, as opposed to having crossed your own energy stream, and now you're in chaotic territory. Now you're in the territory of banging around in step one, causing a lot of what you don't want. So, who am I? I am my meat vehicle, for sure. But I am way, 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 way more than that. My meat vehicle just happens to be the layer on of who I am right now, which is really important because everything is right here, right now. And when you are somebody else doing other things, then it will also be right here, right now. There never is any other moment but right here, right now, and everything is always with you right here, right now. So let's see if I can pull this together and be a little less scattered, because I am being a bit scattered right now. The subject is so big. It's so big, and it's going to relate to everything. It's going to relate to how you relate to your children and your husband and your government and your neighbors and your history and your future. It's going to relate to all of that as you understand who you really are. So first of all, who you really are is real. You are real. With a capital R. There's nothing you can do to change that. What do I want to talk about right now? I want to get us off fossil fuels. That is a number one goal of mine. But how do I do this? People need to understand who they really are at a personal level, so that they will start operating from a very personal position correctly. And from there, see, I also want them to understand the whole picture, but everyone has to add that whole picture in for themselves. They can't take the wholeness picture from somebody else. But I can help you understand your individual equipment and understand how you line up your individual equipment correctly so that you're in alignment. You're not out of alignment now. You're not crossing your own energy stream. You're not bumping around at cross purposes to the rest of biology around you. So it's like, this is perfect example of out of alignment, and what I mean very literally by out of alignment in this way. There's a Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns, he gets Lisa's cooperation because she thinks he's doing one thing. He actually is doing something else. He is making slurry. He's calling it slurry, and he's sucking with a big vacuum cleaner everything off of the bottom of the ocean and then putting it through a factory and then canning it on the other side. And then it's like dog food, or it's whatever it is. Slurry. It's horrible stuff. So that is a perfect example of a system and an idea and motions on Mr. Burns' side that are absolutely out of alignment with the rest of the field, with the rest of the biological field, with what it all needs and wants. The position we're actually looking for is the win, 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 win position for all of life. Now, life is kind of one thing, even though it's expressed in a jillion ways, through a jillion different sets of eyes and pairs of hands and sets of feet and wings and all that. Even though it's expressed, the wholeness of it is it's a whole thing. And so we could foster upon this planet all the life forms that we find gentle and kind and wise and clever and funny and cooperative, and all of that, it actually doesn't matter so much that every single individual species that has evolved before continues forever, and that includes us, by the way. It doesn't really matter if human beings do not continue. We won't continue if we don't get a good grip on who we are and understand this terrible propensity that we have to go negative, believe our negative, wire into the negative, and then just lockstep hard negative until we blow up. And then we regroup, we go positive for a while, and then we start going negative, and then we believe our negative, and then as we believe our negative, everything turns to shit. We start staring at the shit. That makes us go more and more negative until we blow it up again. It seems to be a pattern that we do. I think we can get away from this pattern again if we understand who we are. I think everything boils down to we've got to understand who we are and how it works. And then we operate cooperatively in a way that enhances and highlights and what's another word for how we would be if we were in alignment with ourselves. You only have to be in alignment with yourself. So I talk about being in alignment with the field around you. That makes people think that they have to pick their eyes up off of themselves and look around them and then start pinging and scanning and impulsing off of the outside, taking the cues from the outside. Well, that's the worst thing human beings can do. Start taking cues off the outside, because especially if we do it from other human beings, most of them are not in alignment. And if they are in alignment, none of them are dependably in alignment. None of them are always in alignment. And so if you're looking to other people to keep your balance, you're going to lose your balance because they lose their balance all the time. Where do you find your balance? You've got to align with your own stream of source energy coming at you. It is coming at you all the time. Paul Levy has an excellent concept about this. He calls it's like this share of source energy that you get all the time. And if you are flowing with it, and if you are doing something with it, if you are moving into action with it and applying it somewhere, it is daimonic energy. I think that's the way he pronounces it, daimonic. If you do nothing with it, it still comes at you, but it starts becoming demonic energy, and that comes from that's the old idle hands are the devil's workshop. When you do not do anything with this portion of energy that source keeps giving you, it's the spin that keeps coming at you because you are spinning. All of your molecules are spinning. All of your blood is spinning, and your breath is spinning, and the motion forward is all of your different parts spinning, and it's all spin. And the reason I know that is because there is nothing but this quantum field of Planck's thrown into spin by gradient density in the field, in the quantum field. It throws the whole thing into motion. It throws the stars into motion. It throws the protons into motion. It throws the planets into motion. It throws the galaxies into motion, the quasars, and everything is spinning. There is nothing but spin, nothing but spin. And so every day you get your daily portion of spin. It's coming at you. If you can find something to do with it that is in alignment with the rest of the field, how the rest of the field is spinning. Otherwise, you're just kind of spinning off on your own in a weird way, banging around. Things are not coming at you in any kind of coherent, cohesive order. You know, life seems random, nothing works out, your desires are never met, and then you die. And that's what's going to happen to you if you do not understand how to align your spin. And so basically, let's go back to this picture, which I have not left yet this morning. For some reason, I've been on it for, what, half an hour? I don't know. I've been on this picture for a long, long time. We're talking about spin, and these are your two minds, and they are both spin. They are both spinning vortices of attraction. And your source mind is attracting all of the things that you need and all of the things that are in alignment with what everyone else needs. It is attracting to the win-win position. And that's who and where you really are. Because you know there is a place within you that knows that you are not your individuation. You are the whole thing. There is an aspect of you that knows that there is an aspect of you that is the whole thing. So, there is a part of you that is not satisfied with the greedy, selfish, individual position. Because there's a part of you that knows that that's not all of who, that this is not all of who I am. That this body that I am in, that it winning, making $1 billion on slurry, while the whole rest of the ecosystem dies, is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. That is completely out of alignment. That is your small self looking over in places where your inner being, your broader source self is not lighting up. And when you look over there in places that is not... So let's get back to this idea. In order to line up with the rest of the field, you do not have to look outward at the rest of the field and with your outward physical mind, add it all up and work it all out. You don't have to actually do that. Your inner being is doing that all the time. However, if you are going to start thinking physical thoughts with your physical mind, it is very, 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 very advisable that you learn how to think physical thoughts that are in alignment with your larger position. Your larger position really is you. It's you from a larger vantage point, but it's not somebody else trying to impose this on little you. This is you as big you, saying, if you really want what you really want, listen to me, I can lead you to everything, to all of it. Who am I? I am a big fat we, first of all. I am the whole thing. I am the allness, as well as the smallness. I am the smallness too, and all of the information is equally contained in the infinitely small as well as the infinitely large. This is shown to us when we understand that an infinite amount of information can be held on an infinitely small point. That is the truth of the matter. And so that's why, so let's go back to the idea of a hologram and a conventional hologram that we would create. And so you have this laser beam, you split it in two. One side, one of these beams, you scan an object, say an apple. The other one, you just redirect it through mirrors and make it meet the first one that has scanned the apple. It creates an interference pattern when those two beams meet back up. One containing the information of the apple in where the apple is, the other one not really doing anything, it just got split and then redirected. It meets back up. Those two... I need a picture that shows this. I need a picture. I can screenshot this picture, actually. That's a good idea. Screenshot. hologram picture. Hologram. Look forward to this one as a new slide tomorrow. I'm going to do this as soon as I hang up this program for the day. I'm going to go find that shot. And should just show how the conventional hologram is made. The idea is you have an interference pattern at the end. You have a kind of you have the hologram, you're looking at the hologram, and because of the way this hologram is made, all of the information is contained in every bit of it. So you cut the image in half and you still have all the information of the apple. It's a little lower resolution, but you still have all of the information is still there. Cut it in half, all of the information is still there. Cut it in half again and again and again and again and again and again and again, all the way to infinity. Theoretically, all that information is still contained. All the way to you get all the way down to the Planck. And all of that information is still contained. Now, it's very low resolution at that point. It would be very difficult of you to tune back into that teeny weeny, because a Planck is really, really very, very small frequency. Very hard to tune into that frequency. But you get there, all of the apple's still there. Why did I bring that up? There was a reason why I brought that up. It seemed important at the time that all of it is in every bit of it, and I don't know. The idea here, though, is this. You do not have to, with your physical mind, look outward in order to line up. What you do is go inward and line up. How do you do this? Well, first of all, theoretically know this. Intellectually understand this much. Your inner being always feels good. Never, ever, 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 ever feels bad. This process of life and the isness of the actual materiality, the stars that are dancing out there, the bigness, the hugeness, the wonders, the magnificence that is this universe that we are a part of. Your inner being knows all about all of that and is just totally jazzed about all things going on everywhere, knows that everything is expanding, it's all evolving, it's all flying on the desire of all beings everywhere. That's what the whole thing is expanding on. It couldn't be a better setup, and your inner being knows that. And so your inner being is always feels good, never feels bad, is never depressed about anything, knows that all things are possible. For crying out loud, it's the quantum field. It can become anything. And what things does it become? It becomes what it focuses on. It becomes what it wants. Little by little, cell by cell by cell by cell, it learns about what it wants and who it is and all of that. That's how it's moving. What could be a better setup? What would depress source energy? Nothing is depressing source energy. It's all good from that side. So now, if you're to line up with your source mind, what would that mean? It would mean that if you're lined up with the ideas that your source is on, then you would feel good too. So if you are not feeling good, it means you're not lined up, period. That means if you do feel emotionally good, that means somehow, some way in that moment, you found something that lines up with your source self. Say you turn and look at your grandchild, and he's just the cutest thing, and your heart opens up and you go, oh! In that instant, you are in alignment with yourself. Now you may turn in the very next instant and notice, wow, you're a greedy asshole. And in that instant, you unplug. So what you're really doing all day, every day, is a series of you're plugging in, you're unplugging, you're plugging, unplugging, plug, unplug, unplug, unplug. And you do this all the time. You do this all the time, especially when you're being objective, and especially when you are looking at the modern world, because there is so much of what we do not like and so much of what we like going on right now. So much of everything. Oh my God, there is so much of what we like going on. And oh my God, there is so much of what we don't like going on. And if you spend a lot of your time, going back and forth, clicking back and forth, you don't actually end up building up any momentum. Now, what is this momentum thing? I haven't even mentioned it today, and it's most of what Abraham talks about. Who is Abraham? Abraham Hicks. Abraham is a channeled cadre of universal consciousness as opposed to a specific personality. It's like universal consciousness itself being channeled by a particular human being. And she does her YouTube videos and stuff, hundreds and thousands of these now. She takes her seminars and chops them up into 14-minute bites of wisdom. And she's wonderful, actually. And she has given me a great deal of information that I didn't have before about the way this works, about the sort of a detached, kind of impersonal view of how the laws of the universe work. She gave me the steps 1, 2, 3. Step 1, life causes you to ask. And the asking comes in the form of these rockets of desire. It's your desire. It's that what do you want? The desire for more, the desire for better. You've gone against who I believe I am and what I want, and it has given birth to a recognition of what I want. And now I need to follow what I want. So many of us believe that the primary focus is what we've got. And so you are forced to focus upon what we've got, because anything other than that would be not realistic. You shouldn't be realistic. You should be more idealistic. If you understood the real way that this is set up, you would be more idealistic. You would spend more of your time daydreaming and more of your time trying intentionally to focus upon what you want as opposed to focusing upon what you've got, because right here, this leads you right back to, because what is your inner being doing? Your inner being is focusing on what you want. Your inner being, it doesn't have to focus on what you've got, because your inner being knows the physicality of everything around all the time already through this vibrational reverberation of Planck's that's going on across all the scales, exchanging all the information holographically across everything. That's what's going on. And we need to understand who we are. We need to understand who we are and how this works. And if you understand it individually, you will start creating a life of more effectiveness, more joy, more co-creative fun and abundance for yourself. And at the same time, you'll start clicking and flowing with cooperative, co-creative ideas with the rest of the individuals in the field. And the next thing you know, we've all got a better world. Let's build a better world. I've been waiting for it, IBM. You've been telling me for years and years, let's build a better world. I agree. Let's build a better world. Let's build a better world based upon the way the world really works. The actual laws of the universe and the way it is truly designed. So with that, I think I'm going to flip to a different. I think I need to make I'm going to make a slide that refers to the 1357 download. It's not my download. I didn't get this download, but I understand this download. I understand what he's saying. Bashar gave us this download. It's actually the 135711 download. The 11 is the 11 points of joy. His formula is follow your bliss, follow your passion, because your passion is the point where you and your inner being are intersecting. It's right where your inner being is saying, well, I need to work on my understanding of how to follow your passion. But I know that it meets up with this idea of be in alignment with your inner being. Because when you are in your alignment with your inner being, let's jump to your emotional guidance scale. You're up there in passion. That's where you are. As you move up the emotional guidance scale, recognizing that the negative points are your two minds not blending with one another. The resonant frequencies of your two minds clashing with one another. That's what I call you crossing your own energy stream. And I also believe that when you cross your energy stream, you create something in the greater quantum field around you that the rest of us have to deal with. It's Shiva energy. It's the birth of demons. It's Wetiko disease. You know? It's all of that. And our understanding of this, that's what's going on, will help us move effectively and efficiently and correctly into alignment with ourselves and into alignment with each other, into alignment with Source, into alignment with the rest of the biofield, with the rest of everything around us. This is the answer. This is the secret. Now, I also believe that on a very practical level, this understanding is going to help us get off of fossil fuels. Because we need to understand how horrifically we have been duped. How outraged we ought to be about it. And yet, ultimately, my position is there is no us and them. So there is no them that I should point to about the conspiracy. It's sort of a loose conspiracy, and different people join the conspiracy and then fall out of it. It's a conspiracy of greed. It's a conspiracy of ignorance. It's a conspiracy of power. You do not have to push against the conspiracy in order to dissolve it. We want to disintegrate it naturally. So instead of passing it like a kidney stone, we're going to disintegrate it with laser beams. This is sort of an analogy I'm doing here. Instead of turning and focusing upon the conspirators and pushing against the conspiracy theory that the conspirators that have kept us brutally locked into fossil fuel use, all the way unto practically the death of this planet, and certainly going into the 6th mass extinction upon planet Earth. And all kinds of talk about carbon footprints, and then there's all kinds of scarcity created, and wars, and all the way to, they're going to take it all the way to the end. And it's just you could be outraged. But the way to fix it isn't to push back against them, but to understand who we are and to understand what's possible and just go there. Just go there. Screw them. Because when you know who you are and you know what's possible, no one can stop us. No one can stop us. Just keep your eyes on what you want and who you are, and you can walk directly to it. And actually, you will find that there will be no one that will stand in your way, because you are standing in the win-win position that includes their win-win too. And you'll sneak in the back door. They will never feel that resistance, and they will never push back against you. And you'll get your way. My little analogy is, say back in the very, 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 very beginning of the 20th century. Say if you saw cars as the future and horses and buggies as the past, and you really you really wanted to see that future of cars, the horseless carriage, you wanted to see it come into being, the answer, the way to do it is not to get out there with your picket signs and protest horses and buggies. Don't push against horses and buggies. Just go frickin' build cars. And that's what we need to do. We need to just go build over Unity devices and quit going to the patent office, by the way. Anybody who comes up with another over Unity device needs to open source it. Just open source it. Let's see 100 of these open sourced until finally the rest of the population believes it's possible. The first one they might go, is that really? The second one, Third, oh my God, we're on to something. All right, everybody, to the laboratories. Let's figure this out. We can do it. But what we have to stop doing is we have to stop staring at the offness of what we've got. Quit being so... It's funny because on the one hand, I'm going to say quit being so... quit facing reality. But in a way, I believe that I am more reality focused than anybody else I know, because I'm talking about a bigger reality, how it really works, how it really plays out in a big way. What's really going on requires that you quit staring so much at the material specifics that you've got going on right at this moment, except as a platform from which to jump off, from where to start your story. You have to start with something, but as soon as you've got the gist of where you are, now start looking at where you want to go. So, let's very quickly, since I'm at an hour and 16 minutes and I don't want to go much more than 10 more minutes, we're going to systematically go through my slides really quickly. Here's the paper, The Origin of Mass and the Nature of Gravity, which I believe is going to get us off of... this is the understanding. This brings us to the understanding of how actual reality comes into being, how it winks into being every plonk instant. And it'll wink right back out too. Now, if it has enough momentum to it, then what it looks like from the outside is it mostly winks back in exactly the way it winked back out. You can see a momentum of stuff happening, and so it looks like, but the what's the word? It's not propensity. That's not it. Fluidity. It's not that word either. Hold on. It's not the perpetuation either. It's not continuation. I know what the word is. It's continuity. The continuity, the appearance of continuity, comes from momentum. And the momentum causes things that are like unto it themselves to glom onto one another. And then you get quite a large group of the same things winking out and winking back in, mostly winking back in the same. Anyway, that is not clearly described today. I'm so sorry. Please tune in tomorrow. Listen to me try to describe this over and over and over until you get the basicness of this. How all the way down to the ground this is. How all the way down to the plonk this is. This is also going to help us be free of gravity. And the freedom from gravity is going to change our transportation technology so that we don't have to bump along on the surface of the planet, on roads made of concrete and asphalt. We do not have to slather the surface of the planet any longer in asphalt and concrete, which, by the way, is very destructive to ecosystems. And those roads, they make it so that the trafficking of animals can't cross the roads. They keep trying to cross the roads, and they get killed. When our stuff goes up into the sky, and by the way, it will have all kinds of radar systems that will keep it from hitting birds. It can have transmitting systems that will keep the birds from hitting us. There's all kinds of ways to do that. But we're going to allow the bears and the pumas and all of those things to get up, to cross our roads. We won't... so many wonderful things are going to happen to us. So many wonderful things are in our future. Our vortex of creation is so full. It is so full of peace and prosperity and abundance and clarity and freedom. And we just have to understand who we are so that we can claim our birthright. It is our birthright. And actually, you could, with your tongue in your cheek one way, you could almost say that it has been granted to us by those who created us. Because this world that we will be able to create once we understand who we are as human beings and what it means to be a human being in alignment with the rest of creation. Oh my freaking Lord. All we have to do is get over being so down on ourselves. Now, you have to kind of systematically pull yourself away from your negative mind, and you have to separate. There really is a lot of negative and out of alignment things that we do. You got to recognize that, and at the same time, don't let it get you down, because all of those actions that human beings create that are so destructive, they are us out of alignment. And us out of alignment is because we don't know who we are, and we don't know how to intentionally line up. Who am I? So let's go through my slides really quick. This is the paper. There's the abstract to the paper. Then I go to the neocortex because this is the physical diagram of the physical overview mind. And this physical overview mind, the neocortex, 76% of it comes from human chromosome number 2. Human chromosome number 2 is an ancestor. It's a telomere. It's a fused chromosome. However it was fused, whether it happened spontaneously and naturally through some sort of natural evolutionary processes, I'm not a geneticist. I suspect that it's not that way. It seems fishy to me, but I am not a geneticist. But these people are geneticists, and they claim, and this was written back in 1991, and no geneticist has come in and refuted this. No geneticist has said, hey, you're playing fast and loose with the facts here, buddy. And the geneticists say that human chromosome number 2, which is responsible for most of the volume of the neocortex, the overview mind, is the relic of an ancient telomere-to-telomere fusion and marks the point at which 2 ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. I think this is what makes us anatomically modern. I do believe that this is the missing link. Now, I haven't heard anybody else say that, and I am all by myself. I have actually heard other people mention things like, for instance, this slide. This comes from Greg Braden. It's one of his. He doesn't mind you using his slides. He doesn't like you taking his words, his voice and stuff out of context or anything. But this is one of his slides. It made me go look up the actual article, which this is the actual article. But this is his slide referring to the actual article. He kind of makes it a little less bald. He says it's the relic of an ancient fusion of 2 ancestral chromosomes. He leaves out the word that the geneticists use. 2 ancestral ape chromosomes. So we weren't human before this. And then they fused and now we're human. And it gives us this overview mind, which the overview mind actually is what's giving us the the peculiar form of human emotions come from the neocortex. Because when what your emotions are, your emotions, not your sensual feelings, your emotions are a blending, a resonant blending or a chaotic discordant non-blending of your two minds. These two minds, when they blend well, when you are in alignment with your true broader perspective, your vibrational broader perspective that is beyond your neocortex, it's actually in touch with actual all of reality. So I would trust your source mind. It's the one that knows what really is in place right now. When you take when your small mind, when your physical micro mind takes thoughts that do not resonate, that's your negative mind. That's what creates your negative emotions. It's that discord. That's what that physical sensation is. It's right in the solar plexus. That's about right where you're transmitting those emotions, where your two minds come together. It's somewhere right in the solar plexus. And when you take thoughts that are small, that your larger perspective knows darn well is not true, like I have no power, I mean nothing, I'm not important, I'm alone, whatever. Or thoughts about your neighbor that are small and mean. That's what I call you crossing your own energy stream. It's a physical thing that you just did. And somehow that action of physically crossing your own energy stream by taking thoughts that are out of alignment with what your inner being knows to be true, that very thing energetically has a mysterious power in this world to create demons, Shiva energy, chaotic forces, storms of chaos, whatever you want to call it. And so when we do that to the greater field, and it disrupts the field for the rest of us. And that's why we're all in each other's business about everything, because what you're doing is affecting the quantum field, and what I'm doing is affecting the quantum field. And so I can't just go off and mind my own business. However you can. And why can you? Because your power is actually in influencing others to their alignment. That's where your influence is. And what influences others to their alignment is you being in your alignment. And then you impulsing from your alignment and them observing you doing that. And they're like, oh, I know what's happening. And so all you really need to do is find your own alignment. And that will have all of the influence that you need or want on the rest of the field around you. You know, long time ago in this show, like an hour ago, I mentioned something about flying your starship through, that your power, the power that you have in this world is not to change conditions in the outside world directly through your actions. That's not where your power is. Your power is through your focus, flying your starship into places that you want to be. And the places, I'm air quoting places, because the places you want to be have nothing to do with locations. They have to do with spiritual frequencies. They have to do with how it feels. Because honestly, I promise you, you don't care. You would not care if you spent the rest of your life in a prison if within the walls of the prison you could figure out how to align yourself with yourself so clearly that now all of your impulses are coming directly from source, and you feel good every step of the way. You're influencing others to their alignment. You end up with a wonderful, satisfying life full of relationships and clarity and a kind of freedom within your little enclosed space. It's not the spaces, it's the frequencies, I promise you. I meant to clarify something. I think I just kind of went in and muddied something up a little bit, but that's all right. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be doing it again and again and again and again and again. I don't really have any listeners. I have an occasional eavesdropper that, lends their ear, and sweet them. Sometimes they put a little like. They like the thing, and then they keep going. It is not their responsibility to make this show a success for me. I appreciate you if you have ever laid ears on any of these things that I do. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I need you. I need you in order for me to keep working on getting better and better and better at explaining this. Who are we? Who am I? I explain this in a way, and then as soon as I end the show and go off and live my own life, I have to do the same thing that you do, which is I have to translate this into the actions of my day, the relationships to the people I have a relationship with, the things I choose to do with my time, all of that. So I'm going to have to go do that. It's coming up on 9 o'clock. Actually, I realized that my workman is going to be showing up any minute, so I've got to go. So until tomorrow, I didn't actually show every one of my slides. That's all right. Come back tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I love you. I wish you well. I bid you peace. And until tomorrow, may the source be with you.